morning. Another day for a wildflower walk. We're going to start actually with a grass. This is the first grass that we've done. This is Bottlebrush Grass, a nice native grass that most people don't know. Tall, this is about 4 feet tall here. And it's got these interesting kind of loose bottlebrush-like spikes, they're called on grasses. And this is the developing seed now, and they'll turn brown eventually. But a really interesting texture and shape. Again, tall, the long grass-like leaves are up and down along the stem. It's a clump-forming grass. It's not going to be like quackgrass or something that's going to send out rhizomes and take over an area. It's just a nice, neat little plant. Actually, it's a great garden plant if you want that, a nice ornamental grass. But this is one of relatively few native grasses up here, Bottlebrush Grass. Here we have creeping bellflower. Some of us call it creepy bellflower because it's an invasive up here. I know it's pretty, and a lot of people will say, well, it's so pretty. But it's one that, here at the clearing anyway, that we try to get rid of. It's tough to get rid of because it doesn't pull easily. You almost have to, if you want to really get rid of it, use an herbicide. But anyway, it does have these nice bell-shaped flowers. It's in the genus Campanula, the bellflowers. Gets up to about 2 feet tall. Mostly they're shades of blue or purple, but sometimes you'll see one that's white. But again, this is what we consider up here an invasive, and we do try to control it, at least to a degree, at the clearing. Our next plant's going to be a cousin in the same genus that we're going to look at, a native campanula called Harebell. But this is the one that we really don't want here, creeping bellflower. Here we have our native campanula. We just saw creeping bellflower. This is, which is an exotic invasive. This is the native one. Smaller flowers by a little bit, blue. Much lower growing, maybe a foot or so tall usually. Much narrower leaves. This is called Harebell. And the H-A-R-E, the folklore on this is that witches in the old days would make a brew out of this and drink it and turn themselves into a hare. I've never tried that. Anyway, midsummer to late summer bloomer, very wispy. It moves around in the slightest wind. It's also called the bluebells of Scotland, but we call it Harebell here. And it's a beautiful little native wildflower that likes semi-shaded areas like this right along the edge of the escarpment at the clearing. Harebell. Here's one that everybody knows. This is Queen Anne's lace. This is the wild plant from which carrot was developed. So it's the wild carrot. If you were to pull up this plant, you'd find a white, in this case, a white root that looks like a carrot. Tastes a little bit like it too. These large clusters of hundreds of small white flowers, often, not always, but often with a darker one in the middle. It looks like an insect, and it's more showy, meant to draw in pollinators, to think that they're going to eat that. They crawl around and they pollinate it. Tall, can get up to 4 feet tall. Weedy, it's not a native, it's considered a weed, a common weed. It isn't going to invade the forest and take over there. It's a sun-loving plant. In the old days, it was called St. Anne's lace. St. Anne is the patron saint of lace makers. Who knew that they had a patron saint? But this is it, and I keep wondering, I should investigate this sometime to see if during the split of the church in England, if they changed the name to Queen Anne, rather than Saint Anne. I don't know that that's true, but it might be. Anyway, Queen Anne's lace, wild carrot. Here's our last victim for today, and we're doing two invasives today, and this is spotted knapweed. Some people call this Door County heather. It's in the aster family. Again, pretty flower, but this one truly is an invasive. It can dominate in meadows and pastures. Called spotted knapweed because this swollen area below the flower is spotted, hence the name spotted knapweed. Can get up to 3 feet tall like it is here. Narrow, kind of gray-green foliage, and again, this can really dominate an area if you let it. On the bright side, besides being a nice-looking flower, it is a good pollinator plant. Here we have a little visitor right there, not pollinating. He's looking for a pollinator to munch on, some kind of spider. Anyway, you see this everywhere up here this time of year, spotted knapweed.